If these images look familiar to you, you are not alone. These are liminal spaces. Liminality is defined as the ambiguity or a disorientation that occurs in the middle stage of a rite of passage, when participants no longer hold their pre-ritual status, but have not yet begun the transition to the status they will hold when the rite is complete. So in other words, it's a transitional period or space. There are many theories behind what makes liminal spaces so weirdly nostalgic or creepy. One of the theories behind this is that liminal spaces are, in their definition, transitional. This may feel scary and daunting to focus on, because the destination and future is not clear and not yet in sight. There's no knowing what may be waiting at the other end. Another theory is that the transitional period and place is unnecessary and lacks reason. It appears out of time, irrelevant to the next or previous stage. This gives it a very surreal feel for some and creates a space outside of time. These might not relate to all the liminal spaces. So the third most popular theory relates to the imposter syndrome. The spaces typically shown are areas that are usually filled with people. The fact that these liminal spaces are empty and lifeless is a very eerie feeling. It may feel like you are not supposed to be seeing the space and that you are an imposter in that situation. The fact that the places are empty also ties into the nostalgic feeling. You are used to seeing places such as children's play area full of life, so when you take away all the living things, you are left feeling empty and a bit nostalgic on the fact that you're seeing a familiar place in an unfamiliar situation.
This makes me feel... I don't know what it makes me feel like. It makes me feel like it's a scary movie or something. I mean, it feels a little bit weird. I feel like kids should be in the park. And the fact that they're not makes you just feel a little bit empty, I don't know. And the fact that it was an abandoned building made it even a little bit more scary, I think. I feel like if you knew that kids went there this morning, be fine, but the fact that kids haven't been in that building for years makes it a little bit more scary.
A lot of movies look into liminal spaces, but the genre that uses it most often is the horror/thriller genre. They use these spaces to create a sense of suspension and unease in the audience. One of the most famous uses of liminal spaces within the horror genre is the hallway scene in The Shining. Most of the movie is full of liminal spaces, a hotel empty when it is most commonly seen full of life. However, the hallway scenes really focus in on this. The hallways themselves are transitional pathways. They lead you from one place to another and serve you no other purpose. The way we follow around this kid, turning corners and looking down these hallways, gives a great amount of suspension. You never know what's at the end of these hallways, or if there even is an end. One movie that uses liminal spaces in a more unique way is I Am Thinking About Ending Things. This movie doesn't use liminal spaces to create suspension or dread, but instead uses it to make us feel alone. The best example out of this movie is when the characters stop at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. The gas station is isolated and there seems to be no one else around. The gas station itself is also liminal. You only use this to continue your liminal journey, but the fact that the place is so deserted gives us this eerie and isolated feeling. Us is a popular psychological thriller that has an overall very surreal and uncanny atmosphere. It doesn't include liminal spaces constantly throughout the movie, but one scene in particular that stuck with me is the hallway in the basement. The liminal space here really boosts what they were trying to evoke in the audience. The unusual aspect of this liminal space, however, is the use of life, aka the rabbits. This use of life is still quite odd, so it doesn't really take away from the atmosphere, but the fact that it's not human is a very strange feeling. So as I said before, liminal spaces are emotive, and the way it makes you feel is subjective. So how does it make you feel?